What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Isles Talk. I can tell you right now, I was not planning on doing this because I thought I was going to be stuck at work probably for eternity. So I'm very glad for those of you joining in. I'm very glad that you guys are here. We are going to be going over um, sorry about that. We're going to be going over the Isles season in review. We're going to go over the regular season. We're going to go over the playoffs. And we are going to go over a little bit of the draft, a little bit of the free agency, and I'm going to be taking your questions probably towards the end. So, with that in mind, before I go any further, my younger Islander fans, give yourselves a round of applause. Okay? Your team, the New York Islanders, made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Okay? The NHL will not allow an asterisk next to the Tampa Bay Lightning or their names because the Stanley Cup was played in a bubble. Okay? The New York Islanders, your New York Islanders, went to the Eastern Conference Finals. That is a fact. 20 years from now, when people look into the record books, my young Islander fans here, they're going to see the Islanders went to the Eastern Conference Finals. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, especially Ranger fans. Forget them for now. We'll get to them later. We'll talk about the Rangers during the draft, okay? Congratulations to my younger Islander fans. Welcome to our old man's world here, okay? You know, the ones who have been around from 93, and, you know, we had our conference finals in 93, and then you get the really old guys and gals who were around for the 80s and whatnot, you know, witnessing the Stanley Cups. You now have something to hold on. You have even bigger memories. And I'm going to tell you now, when we are done with this show and when we are done with this next week, you're going to be even happier to know what's going to be happening in this future, your future with your New York Islanders. So, before we dip into the future, we have to go back to the past just a little bit, okay? At the beginning of this season, the Islanders went on a huge run after making it to the playoffs last year when everyone thought we weren't going to do it. I did. A few others did too. I give them credit. They did. The Islanders went on a huge 17-game point streak where they went 15-0-2. Okay? 15-0-2. I honestly thought the Islanders were for real. I wasn't shocked. I thought they could probably keep it up the entire time. Derek Brassard was an absolute beast, and he was making that contract look really good for Lou Lamoriello. He ended up scoring 10 goals during that point streak, and it looked like everything was going great. And for a while, the Islanders were riding the wave, and they were riding that momentum. And again, when they finished up their point streak, their record was about 16-3-2. Phenomenal to start the season. Okay, we pretty much were saying, okay, playoffs, right? We knew that was coming. So, by the end of November, the Islanders ended up going 17-5-2. Okay, when was the last time we could actually say as Islander fans that we had a great November? Okay, forget that. Okay, if you go back to 09, 10, 11, 12, November, they were the worst. It was always the worst month for every Islander fan. We cringed when it was November. Okay, there's a reason why we celebrated Brocktober. It's because November stunk for God knows how long. So we finally had a great November. Everything was moving along, and we were pretty much coasting. The Islanders were coasting pretty much up until Game 50. But then during the season, if you've been following me, if you've been following Isles Talk, and I'm sure I'm going to have the younger kids, younger kids watching. So I'm going to call it a gripe that the Islanders did not have a third line. And I'm going to call that line the roulette line, because all Barry Trotz was doing was rotating players in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. There was never a cohesive line going on that entire year. So what had happened? Well, the scoring went down, and lo and behold, we had our first major injury to Adam Pelech. Little did we know how much of a huge blow that was going to be for the New York Islanders. We didn't know. We knew at the end of the season that he was definitely part of the core. We definitely knew that he was going to be part of this organization for a while, because we definitely don't want him leaving anytime soon. He's an integral part of this team. The other problem then, in terms of injuries, we lost Casey Zizekas and we lost Cal Clutterbuck to a couple of freak injuries. So, in a short time, we lost the identity line. We're still dealing with the roulette line, because we don't know who was on that line. We're losing Adam Pelech, and there's no offense to speak of. The Islanders just went, they were burning out. Okay? The Islander youngins, the future stars here, Kiefer Bellows, 2 goals in 8 games. Okay. Michael Dal Cole was getting fourth line minutes. He was on pace for 5. I think he scored 5 goals. That's a fourth liner. You were kind of hoping more, but you get what you get. Ross Johnson, fourth line minutes. Ross Johnson has he's a one-trick pony. He was doing a job. And now to defend Michael Dal Cole and Ross Johnson real quick, they were playing to the system. As the season was going on, they were playing to the system, but the problem was they weren't producing much. Okay, you're not really expecting a lot from Ross Johnson anyway, but some of us were expecting a little bit more out of Michael Dal Cole. Oliver Wahlstrom, through his first 9 games, no goals. As stated before, Kiefer Bellows, 2 goals in 8 games, but never stayed up. Sebastian Aho never got a sniff on defense. Otto Koivula didn't seem to fit in either. So let's combine that. Derek Brassard, nothing after that point streak. No goals. His 10 goals came out of that point streak, guys. That's it. Leo Komarov, 4 goals on the year. Not going to do you any good. So, what happens at the trade deadline? We bring in Andy Green to replace Adam Pelech. And really, that's what Andy Green is. He's an older version to Adam Pelech, and I thought it was a great move. That might still be a great move, especially later on. And we also brought in J.G. Pageau. I'm going to bring up Pageau a little bit later on. You guys, for those of you who are new, I will still stand that as of right now, I was not in favor of that trade. There was a lot there. But the reason why I was not in favor of that trade is because I cover the draft. I do the draft. You guys are going to see me all week long. So towards the end of the season, I started changing my mood a little bit. I still didn't like the trade at the time. There was a lot to give up for J.G. Pageau. There really was. However, Lou's not done making moves. Get excited, boys and girls. Okay? Lou's not done making moves. Okay? And at some point, that I'm going to quickly forget about that J.G. Pageau trade. So don't worry about that. J.G. Pageau comes in, and what do the Islanders do? 0-3-4 in their last 7 games. Why? Because he's on the roulette line. Everyone's rotating. They can't find a match for J.G. Pageau. Josh Bailey worked a little bit. Derek Brassard worked a little bit. I think Anthony Beauvillier had a little bit of time, but nothing was cohesive. I think Michael Dal Cole spent some time with him too. But the point is, towards games 50 to mid 50s to early 60s, the Islanders just were gassed out. They were done. They were gassed out. What am I missing here? Barry Trotz. Because the Islanders were gassed out, Barry Trotz even admitted to overcoaching. It happens. You want your team to win. You want to, make it to the playoffs again. You're going to try to squeeze every little ounce out of your team to get into the playoffs. Now, and I'm going to throw in Josh Hosang as, someone in limbo as well. He didn't, he never came up at all. So what ended up happening? The Islanders ended up finishing, because of COVID, 68 games, 35, 23, and 10, good for 80 points and a pace of 96 points. Okay? If it were a full season, it probably would have gotten them somewhere between 6th and 12th place. But here is my problem with that second half of the season here. Okay? Well, first off, without the streak, the Islanders went 20, 23, and 8, which is good for 77 points. Okay? And I want you guys to remember that pace, 77 points. Because for those of you worried about a power play, the Islanders' power play was 17% basically throughout the entire year. Okay? During the playoffs, it was 15%. And they made it to the conference finals. Okay? It's not the power play. Okay? It's the fact that you still don't have a third line. But that's going to change, and I'm going to fill into that a little bit more. But remember that if the Islanders need a power play goal to win games, then we are going back to 09, 010. We're going back to the Scott Gordon era, guys. Okay? And for my younger Islander fans, it was John Tavares' first 2 years, year and a half. If the Islanders didn't score a power play goal, they weren't winning. It's just the way it was. Okay? If they scored a power play goal, every fan knew that there was a chance to win. So, we're in that same boat all year long now. We're dependent on the power play. Well, what we're really missing is more talented depth on the bottom 6. More or less on the third line. Okay? So, we got to ask this question. Would the Islanders have made the playoffs if we went to if there was no COVID? Would the Islanders have made the playoffs? And I got to be honest with you. It's a little bit of a cop-out, but I don't know. And here's the reason why. There's 14 games left for the New York Islanders. That's almost a sixth of their season. That's a lot. That is a lot. A lot of games to determine the season, especially for the Islanders. Okay? With all the injuries that were going on, basically an offense that was gassed. They were averaging close to 2.28, just over 2 goals a game. Basically no third line, no fourth line. You're basically now one of your top defensemen are gone. No one recovers. And for their final 13 games, this is what I wanted to bring up before. Their final 13 games, they only won twice. Twice in their last 13 games. And you know who they beat? The San Jose Sharks and the Detroit Red Wings. For those of you who don't remember, they were basically the 2 worst teams in the league at that time. 2 wins in their last 13. And games 14 and 15 were against the Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers. Is it possible the Islanders could have lost, or at least not won those 2 games? Sure. Probably the way things were going. So we could have been looking at 2 wins in 15 games, which completely takes away from that 17-game point streak. So in the beginning of the season, you got a really big high. Towards the end of the season, I'm taking a Top Gun line here, crash and burn. That's basically where we were. We were gassed. The Islanders were gassed. There was nothing else we could do. And then COVID hits. 3 months go by. Suddenly everybody's healthy. Did I have high hopes for the Islanders? Yeah. Stanley Cup? No. I'll say this right now. Stanley Cup? No. Conference Finals? Yeah. Yeah, there was a shot depending on who we were playing. I can tell you right now, and some of my friends will tell you. Although then again, if they're friends of mine, they'll just deny it anyway. So never mind. Forget them. I did not want to play in the playoffs. Philadelphia. I did not want to play Tampa. And if the Islanders somehow, by some miracle, made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, I didn't want to play Vegas. I didn't. For those of you who have been here all season long, you have known that Vegas was that one team this year that I'm not Vegas, I'm sorry, Philly was that one team that I did not trust. I didn't trust Carolina last year, and they ended up sweeping us for however it worked. This year, I really didn't want to play Philly. We ended up taking out Philly in 7 games, but I'm not going to lie. That could have gone either way. I think Philadelphia wore us out. I honestly thought if we were going to take out Philly, it should have been in 6 games. But on the flip side, if Philadelphia knew how to hold a lead, the Islanders would have been beaten in 5. 4 games to 1. Okay? So, it was a great series. I should have warned you guys about Carter Hart. I've seen him quite a few times down in Lehigh Valley, but Philadelphia Flyers gave us a really good run. And that bothered me. So, when we entered Tampa Bay, we were already gassed. Now, I think Randy in the chat here, Randy knows. I have another friend, Brian. I had Tampa winning 4 games to 1. I didn't want to tell any other Islander fans. I had Tampa winning 4 games to 1 over the Islanders. The Islanders were just gassed. But what happened with Tampa Bay, it's the same thing that happened to the Islanders around games 15 or in the early 60s. They got gassed. They got tired. We still didn't figure out a third line. Casey Zizekas started getting injured. Adam Pelech started getting injured. Andy Green, for as good as he was, Tampa, it was taking a toll going up against Tampa Bay that whole time. Now, granted, we took Tampa Bay to 6 games and even an overtime. That was a phenomenal series for the Islanders. But instead of making this a Debbie Downer here for a moment, I'm going to build you guys up. Because this is something that has not happened with the Islanders, and I'm going to say 35 years. And this is why it's important heading into the draft, heading into free agency, and probably heading for the next 8 years. Okay, so I want you guys to pay attention to this one. A few episodes ago, I basically did a show about the Islanders' core players way back when, something like At the Core. And what I had done was, again, backtrack real quick. For my new Islander fans here who are new to this, I follow the draft. I am a fan of Bill Torrey. A fan of Garth Snow. I will do that. Jimmy Devellano, Steve Yzerman, Poyle out of Nashville, Jim Nill out of Dallas, Lou Lamoriello, anyone who's building their team out of the draft and the development and everything else, I'm into that. So, in a weird way, this is how the Islanders got themselves to the Eastern Conference Finals. Okay? Going down a trip memory lane, real quick, for my older Islander fans, I got permission from this. Most of them okayed this. When the Islanders were winning their dynasty years, these were the core players. And I have them in different sections. My Twilight Core. These were the guys that were kind of in their prime, but they were slowly on their way out. It's always one defenseman, one centerman, and one winger. Potvin, Gillies, and Bourne. If we're going way back when. the team, the players in their prime. I call them by the prime core or the elite core, whatever you want to call them. This was an easy one as well. Bossy, Trottier, and Kenny Morrow. And then you had your young core right around the, they were drafted late 70s, but they came into the 80s and they helped the Islanders win those 2 more cups. The Sutter brothers and Thomas Johnson. And then there was a future core of Pat LaFontaine, Pat Flatley, but they never got that extra defenseman. And that started the downtrend of the Islanders dynasty. This year's Islanders, the Twilight Core, Josh Bailey, Casey Zizekas, and Scott Mayfield. I'm going to touch on Josh Bailey in a little bit, but 2 goals, 18 assists, 20 points. Career high, playoff-wise. Casey Zizekas only had 2 points, but he helped out with Matt Martin in those 5 goals. He was around for all of that, so I'm going to give Casey the slide on that. Scott Mayfield, 5 points, which is typical for Scott, but he was a plus 12. Okay? Your prime or your elite core, Anders Lee, Brock Nelson, Adam Pelech. I don't have to go over the numbers for those guys. They were phenomenal. Brock Nelson has been phenomenal all year long. We now know what we're getting out of Adam Pelech, and the captain stepped up. The captain absolutely stepped up. I had a problem with him last year. I'm always tough on some of the players. Always. Gary will tell you that. I love Anders Lee. I love what he did this year. But, folks, this is the key right here. These 3 players, this is what got the team, the organization, to the Stanley Cup Eastern Conference Finals. Anthony Beauvillier, Matthew Barzal, and Ryan Pulock. Okay? Anthony Beauvillier was having fun. It was a coming of age. It was a coming out party for Anthony Beauvillier. Bo had 9 goals, 5 assists, 14 points in 22 games. 9 goals in 22 games. Matthew Barzal was Matthew Barzal. 5 goals, 17 points, 22 games. And if you guys remember, every single analyst said that Matthew Barzal is only going to get better. And at some point, it's time to recognize that he is going to be elite. Okay? Yes, he did. Ryan Pulock. Everyone is fearing Ryan Pulock's slap shot from afar. The problem is the coaches remember him from the American Hockey League, especially Tampa Bay. Cooper actually coached against Pulock and the Bridgeport Sound Tigers way back when, and they know to guard Ryan Pulock on his slap shot. So, and we can include the future core. Noah Dobson. 1 game, didn't look out of place. Okay? My point is this. We have 3 sets of core players that were drafted by the Islanders. Thank you, Garth. Now properly developed after 2 years. Thank you, Barry Trotz. And the re-signing, keeping all the players together. Thank you, Lou. Okay? For those of you who don't want to give Garth Snow credit, who do you think Tampa's giving credit to? Julien Brisebois? Yeah, to a degree. But Steve Yzerman drafted most of those players. You got to do the same thing. If the Islanders win the Stanley Cup, you have to do a shot, do a cheers, do whatever, say a thank you to Garth. You're going to have to. Suck it up. Okay? My younger Islander fans, this is why you're going to be in the playoffs for a long time. Okay? Pajot was not kidding when he said it's a brotherhood. Look, they were all drafted together. They all went to Bridgeport together. They've all spent time together. This is what you want. Okay? Now, what can we take away from this season? We talked about Anthony Beauvillier. I think he's going to get better. He racked up 39 points last year. He's letting the system, he's letting the game come to him. I'm not looking at 39 points. I'm looking at maybe 50. That's going to improve. Matthew Barzal, we're going to get to Barzal in a minute. That's going to have to do with free agency. But in my opinion, and this is going to be coming up later on in the week, I still considered Matthew Barzal a prospect. I did. I still considered him a prospect this year. And in all honesty, if Matthew Barzal absolutely frustrated you, especially in these playoffs, guess what? He was a prospect in your eyes too. But it's a little finer detail. But we're going to get into that later on during the week when I cover the prospect, the professional draftees, the professional prospects. Time to recognize the percentages. Play the percentages during the standings. Come follow me more often. Okay? Follow me more often next year when we're looking at the standings, and I tell you the Islanders are on pace for 95 points. I tell you the Islanders are on pace for 100 points. It's less stressful. It really is. Okay? Guess what? The percentages got the Islanders into the playoffs. Right? Because if they were just doing the point system, the Islanders wouldn't be in it. Play the percentages, folks. Okay? Come talk to me more often. Adam Pelech has arrived. We know that. Okay, so I want to say this to my younger Islander fans. Okay? Change is coming. Positive change is coming, even more. Especially when we get to Belmont. Okay? Especially when we get to Belmont. Having said that, I want the younger prospects to be playing as many games as possible in the NHL next season. I want the younger guys. I want Bellows. I want Wahlstrom. Simon Holmstrom. Sebastian Aho. I want these guys getting a longer taste in the NHL if it's required. There's got to be a role for Bellows. There's got to be a role for Sebastian Aho. There's got to be something here for these younger kids, because if you're going to go into Belmont, guess what, folks? You better be going for the Stanley Cup, and these kids need to be ready. They have to be. There's no doubt. In all honesty, the veterans, with the cap crunch that's currently happening, they didn't fulfill, they brought in the small intangibles. But look, if the younger guys are going to do the same thing than the older guys at a third of the cost, you're going to bring in the younger kids. You got to bring in the younger kids. So it's time for at least 1 year, even if it's the last year at the Coliseum, bring up the kids. Even if there's no fans, for however long that is, bring in the kids. Okay, now, speaking of free agency real quick. I know you guys have been talking about Line. I've been reading the comments as much as I can. Lou is going to build on his strengths. Okay. Number one, it's the system. It's defense, and it's 5-on-5. Okay? The Islanders' 5-on-5 play basically took them to the Eastern Conference Finals. Lou is going to have a third line for J.G. Pageau. If the Islanders' 5-on-5 develop a third line, two-way third line, pots in 20 extra goals, the power play is not going to be as, I don't want to say needed. The power play won't be needed to win the games. The power play is going to be more like the last straw, or the dagger in the back, the finishing touch on any team. Okay? That's what you want your power play to do. You want your power play to finish off the team. You need 3 lines rolling. And that's what didn't happen this year. You didn't have 3 lines rolling. Lou's going to fix that. And that 5-on-5 is going to be even better. Okay, at the end of the season, the Islanders were on pace for something like 228 goals. Guys, that's not going to do it. You throw in a third line, you're looking at 245, maybe even 250, depending on the players. With J.G. Pageau over a full season, ha 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 ha. Okay, now we're talking a little bit more. The power play will fix itself. Now, having said that, the Islanders, I don't want to say they need a sniper. I know where you guys are going with this. I know where you guys are going with this. You're not completely wrong. But give me a player who can shoot the puck and back check. He has to fit the system. Okay? If he's going to score goals, but then he's on the ice for when the opposite team scores more goals than what he's able to produce, it's not going to work. Give me a scorer who's going to back check. Even if it's a little. So in terms of free agency, I know you're looking at Patrick Laine. I'm going to go no. I don't see it happening. That's just me. I know you guys are looking at Mike Hoffman. I know you want him for the power play. I get that, but then the coaches are going to be ready for that. Mike Hoffman's got to have a better 5-on-5 game. You got to find someone who's going to put more fear into the defenseman's eyes than Anders Lee. Okay, because let's talk about the first line real quick. It's easy. They're one-trick ponies. Anders Lee, he sets up shop right in front of the goalie. Right? We know this. Matthew Barzal, 9 times out of 10. What's he going to do? You guys know it. He's going to pass. Jordan Eberle, he's waiting. And maybe if Ryan Pulock is on the ice, Barzal can set up Pulock. So what do? You double team Barzal. And that's exactly what Tampa did. That's what Philly was doing. They frustrated him. You saw it. I don't have to remind you guys, you saw it. You bring in someone with a better wrist shot than Anders Lee, things change. Okay? Because now you don't have your focus squarely on Matthew Barzal. Now you have to be careful of your next free agent. You have to be careful of your next shooter. You also have to be careful of Jordan Eberle. So if Mike Hoffman can do that, okay, great. I'm looking at a bigger fish. And I'm not going to say who that bigger fish is because God forbid someone from the Islanders watches this and it just gets ruined. Because we all know, well, first off, let's put it to you this way. For those of you bringing up Patrick Laine to the Isles, it was already out on the internet. So if you don't know Lou by now, guess what? That trade's not happening. Because it was made public. You're done. Forget about Patrick Laine. For those of you older, you know this already. Patrick Laine to the Isles. Not happening. Guess what? You messed up because you brought it out in public. Lou doesn't like that. Lou doesn't like that. So for those of you wanting Patrick Laine, yeah, you're probably screwed at this point. Right? So be careful what you wish for. Because if Lou finds out, not going to happen. So keep your mouth shut. 2 more thoughts. And I'll open everything up for questions. Number 1, Josh Bailey. He's in that twilight core. I'm going to ruin some of your nights. And let me say what I have to say here before anything else happens. Josh Bailey, guys, if he wins the Stanley Cup, maybe 2, his name and probably his number may go up to the rafters. Think about it. Games played, probably top 5. Points, squarely top 7, top 6 maybe even higher. He's already had a couple of clutch goals in the playoffs. So he's already meeting John Tonelli, Bob Nystrom. He's already in that category. No, he's not Butch Goring, but, he's not a Hall of Famer. Bailey's not a Hall of Famer. He's not like those other guys. And there's a part of me that thinks Goring should be in the Hall of Fame, but Bailey fits that mold. Bailey gets a Stanley Cup. I think his number's going to go up. His number and his name are going to go up. It's a possibility. I'm just throwing that out there. Final thought from me, Islander fans, my younger Islander fans. If you honestly thought this year was stressful on you, wait for the next 8 years. Wait for it. You're going to be excited. You're going to be throwing up. You're going to be throwing chairs across the kitchen. You're going to get yelled at by your mother at some point. You guys are going to be throwing parties all over the place. You guys are going to be watching the TVs well into June. Folks, this is Islanders hockey. This is what you should be expecting every year, at least for like the next 8 years. Why? Because the drafting has been there. The development, kind of, sort of, slowly but surely. And now we're starting to see the results of a brotherhood. We're starting to see the results of the players growing together as a family. And now you're probably missing the Marian Hossa piece. So, I've got 20 minutes for you guys. I can't believe this. I know Claire's loving this. I'm not sucking up to Gary either. I never suck up to Gary. I always suck up to Claire. Just a reminder here. All right, guys. I've got 20 minutes. Oh, I'm going to regret this. All right, questions, comments, concerns, water cooler talk time. Hit me with it. Yes, I do know stuff I may or may not be able to tell you, but go ahead. Zach Parisi. I'll get to Holmstrom in a minute. Zach Parisi, could it still be a possibility? It has to go down the line. I don't think Parisi is Lou's first priority. I don't think it should be Lou's first priority. But for nostalgia reasons, I would love to have Parisi. Well, look, Parisi on the third line over the next 2-3 years with J.G. Pageau, he fits the system. He fits the system. I wouldn't mind Parisi at all. Simon Holmstrom. Believe it or not, as of right now, Simon Holmstrom is actually reminding me of Josh Bailey. A little bit of Josh Bailey, a little bit of Matthew Barzal when it comes to his puck handling. He's learning to play both wings right now on Simon Holmstrom. I am going to be doing another segment on most of the prospects in this organization throughout the week. Holmstrom's going to be in there. And what I do like about Holmstrom and Wallstrom is that, according to Cap Geek, their entry level slid for another year. So they're in the minors for another 3 years of development. Okay? So I like Simon Holmstrom. I like that bossy little snapshot. Not there yet, though. He's got something, but give him a little more time to develop, and I think you're going to see a better version, a better shooting version of Josh Bailey out of Simon Holmstrom. Who do I see coming up from Bridgeport next season? It would probably be Wallstrom on a call-up as of right now. Looking at Mason Jobs, Mason was a little injured throughout the season. He could fill in at center if need be. He can also play wing. So Mason Jobs right now kind of reminds me also of Tanner Fritz. So they both kind of fit that mold. If the Islanders get Parisi, they have to move Ladd plus another contract, such as Clutterbuck or Leo. Yeah, that it's all true. Bailey will get more support from the fans, especially if the Islanders win the Stanley Cup. It's all over. Ward. Which Ward? Will Aho get a chance to make the team next season? I hope so. I hope so. To me, in all honesty, Aho is a European version of Andy Green, but Aho really needs to put on about 10 pounds of muscle. He's about the same height. I think he's about 5'11", but he's like low 180s, upper 170s, I think. He needs to add at least 10 or 15 pounds of muscle. And if you do, you got yourself an Andy Green. I don't know how he is with the blocking shots, but again, he's a 3-time AHL All-Star. He's got the speed. He's got the technicality for it. I maybe as a seventh defenseman, I would hope to see him that. If not, he does have trade value. Maybe the Islanders go the trade route with him. We'll find out. He did come to the Bridgeport early. He's only in his third season, and he's going to be a restricted free agent. Grant Hutton is another one to watch out for. I do like that. Yes, Grant Hutton is another one. So again, there's going to be moves to be made that that Lou's going to have to come up with decisions. Hutton, Aho, absolutely. Either one of those guys could be seventh defenseman next year. Cole Bardreau, no. If there's honestly, guys, if there's a center I want to see play more often, it's Otto Koivula. I got to see him. I got to see what he does. I do see Dobson. You know what? As far as next year is concerned, nobody knows. If it's a full season, I wouldn't mind seeing Dobson come up. I don't know if Trotz is really going to let him go down and play down in the minors. It might be a hinder. And if they can somehow bring back Andy Green with Noah Dobson, or even if they decide to keep Nick Leddy with Noah Dobson, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Look, you're talking to a guy who loves the player development. Noah Dobson going down for 1 year in the American Hockey League, I'm all right with that. I'd have absolutely no problem with that. I really want a decent third pairing now. We've got a great top four. We got to work on the bottom pair. I'm with you guys. Yeah, Aho, again, he's got to put on about 10 pounds of muscle. He's got the speed. He's got the technicality. He needs to add some muscle. Poor kid. Okay. If he adds 10 pounds of muscle, you're looking at an Andy Green. A European version of Andy Green. Samuel Bolduc, I'm going to leave him right now. He's going to be a project a la Scott Mayfield. Big boy. He can skate with the puck. Give him time. He is going to be a project, but again, like Mayfield, if Bolduc fits the system, he could be top four. When? No timetable. Don't put a timetable on Samuel Bolduc, but I like him. I like him. I liked him when Garth drafted him. There is potential, but leave him alone. Leave him alone. When he finally breaks out, he'll break out, and you will know it. Brassard probably not coming back. Green, good. I'm going to say there's a good possibility Green will be back. Dobson pair with Wild or Bolduc and have a pair moving up together. You could do that. However, Bodie Wild and Bolduc will take a much longer time than Noah Dobson. Why is the Flames' top goal scorer being tossed around as being traded in rumor mill? Because Johnny Gaudreau is actually from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And that would probably include the Devils, the Islanders, the Rangers, the Capitals, and the Flyers as destinations as to where he may want to go. Cherry Hill, New Jersey is literally, 20 minutes, 30 minutes away out of Philly? Most of the Philadelphia Flyers, if they're living outside of Philly, they're living in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Yes, Aho does need Cracker Barrel food. Does Bodie Wild take a step back last season? He got injured. The kid just got injured, and you know what it was with Bridgeport? There were a lot of number problems with Bridgeport. We're going to get into that later on in the professional prospects segment of the show a couple of days from now. Bridgeport's numbers were just a wreck. Lots of injuries, overabundance of players, and Bodie Wild was a victim of the numbers game and injuries. He never got his foot on the right track. Could it be a step back? Maybe. I'm more concerned about this year. I'm more concerned about how many games the AHL are going to play. I am more concerned about the development of the players overall this year coming up. Bodie Wild in Bridgeport next season. Yes, he is. Does Sorokin start in Bridgeport? I don't think so. I don't think so because he came over early. He's been practicing with the guys who have not been playing. His work ethic has been phenomenal. I've been telling you guys this for years now. I would imagine it's Sorokin and Varlamov to start the season. And again, we don't know what kind of a season we're getting next year. Next year. So if it's a shortened season, oh yeah, I'm putting Varlamov in the same category as the kids. When it's needed, get them as many games as possible. Same deal. Same deal with Varlamov. I know everyone wants to win another Stanley Cup at Nassau Coliseum. Great, we all want that. But we really want them ready for Belmont too. Okay? So, I think Sorokin will get as many games as possible with the Islanders next season. It's going to be a boring offseason. Jay, you're not wrong. Because in all honesty, the draft is next Tuesday. Free agency is another 3 days after that. The Islanders are almost filled. Will I be giving you a good reason why Brent Thompson is still the coach of Bridgeport? Yes. Give me a couple of days during the professional prospect section of the show. I can tell you right now, again, because we don't know what kind of a season we're getting, everyone's coming back. I think Lou's already said that. We could have a short season. Why bring in a new coach with a short season? There's no point. Bring in someone, keep someone who the players are familiar with, and they can develop whatever they can. If it's a short season, a lot of those Bridgeport players may not be coming up anyway. We don't know what kind of a season we're going to get. So a lot of it's up in the air. But I will go into more detail with Brent Thompson during the professional prospect section of the show coming up all week. Yes, Grice is going to be a free agent. Cizikas' detached retina going to be a career threatening, or is he going to be... Lou said he's good to okay. Everyone's good. Everyone had successful surgeries, and they're all going to be ready by training camp. Who stays, Leddy or Boychuk? Ha, 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 ha. Put me on the spot. I can tell you right now, Leddy's going to need a big market team. Okay, for those of you who thought Leddy to Ottawa, I don't know where you got that from. Okay, let me educate on some of you here. Nick Leddy's cap is roughly 5.5. Okay, however, he's getting paid $6 million next season and $7 million the following season. He's at that top end of his contract. Okay, so the Ottawa Senators are not going to pay $6 or $7 million for Nick Leddy. Okay, because if they do, they're going to go up in harms that Ottawa didn't spend a contract on J.G. Pageau. So yes, the cap looks small, but there's going to be more money on Leddy. Okay, so look for a big market team, a la Chicago, a la Boston, maybe LA, maybe Montreal, to pick up Leddy if Leddy is available. If Leddy is available. We don't even know if Leddy's available. I know Trotz does like Leddy. So hold on to that. Johnny Boychuk, we already paid off his signing bonus back in July. So, yes, his cap is at 6. What are they paying him? Not 6. It's a lot lower. Johnny Boychuk has about a chance of going to Ottawa. But, he's got a no trade. I think he's got a no trade. He's got a list of teams that he doesn't want to be traded. He doesn't want to be traded to. So, Lou's got a plan. We'll see what happens. Besides Wallstrom, Holmstrom, Bellows, do we have any good offensive prospects? Anyone who can surprise you? At some point, you guys are going to see Ruslan Ishkakov. Okay, he is a center for the University of Yukon. Obviously, the college sports, a lot of them are done so far because of COVID. The Islanders actually sent Ishkakov to, I believe it's the Finnish League, to continue his playing. Now that says something. You have Wallstrom over there, you have Holmstrom over there, and now you have Ishkakov. That's big. They want him to continue his development. He's fast. He's fast, but he's like 156 pounds soaking wet. I don't know how much he's weighing these days. They haven't done the training camps and whatnot. But he's fast. He's pesky. He gets into the goalie's face. He's a la J.G. Pajot. Little faster than J.G. Pajot. He may have a better shot than J.G. Pajot. He could be Matthew Barzal's eventual second line center, behind Matthew Barzal. But the boy's got to eat. He's got to go to Cracker Barrel. The boy's got to go to Cracker Barrel and hit the weight room. So, he's 100. If you crunch him against the boards, even you're going to feel sorry for him. So he's got to put on a little more muscle. Watch out for Ruslan Ishkakov for right now. Thoughts on Tyler Toffoli? Good player. Good player. Not as cost effective. He doesn't cost as much. Why not? I don't know if he's first line material anymore though. Isn't Tyler Toffoli approaching 30? 31? He's up there. Careful with that. Letty to LA? Yeah, maybe. Everly's not going anywhere. Is Lou looking to trade for a first-round pick in this year's draft? I don't know. He could. I think if there was a window of opportunity, I think he could. I'm not going to lie. If somehow he was able to trade Nick Leddy, I think you can get a second-rounder for Nick Leddy. Depending on the team he's going to, you could probably fetch a second-rounder. Why not? Do the Sound Tigers move to the Collie if the Isles owners and Oakview Group win the bid to run the Collie going forward? No. No. It's to my understanding. Again, I'm in the healthcare field, guys. I've been stuck with COVID since March. I'm a little out of the loop. Okay? The last thing I heard was that Oakview wanted to change the Collie into something like the Westbury Music Fair way back when. Small mini concerts. So, as of right now, I'm going to say no. Plus, you got to remember, AHL teams, they take the bus. They don't want to go through the city just to come to Long Island. That's like another hour trip that they're adding. You need Route 84. You need Route 78. You need Route 81. You need all those highways. And coming to Long Island really is like a bad idea. I don't know how many teams would actually do that on the bus. If no big scorer signing, how about a Jesper Fast or for Pajot's wing? Sure. Two-way winger with a little bit of scoring touch, that would probably work. If he can do the penalty kill as well, that would also be helpful. Stranger, not my fault. Wallstrom and Holmstrom are the yes. Yes, Wallstrom and Holmstrom. Yes, Wallstrom and Holmstrom are in Sweden. Ishkakov, I believe, is in Finland. Yes, Wallstrom and Holmstrom are in Sweden. That is correct. Ishkakov is in Finland. If Toffoli's 38, that's not happening. I think you meant 28. Old age, of course. Thomas Hickey career going to end up playing in the AHL. You know what? I think Thomas Hickey could still find a place in the NHL. As long as he doesn't have any concussion issues, he's got a really inexpensive cap hit and an inexpensive salary. Somebody would take Thomas Hickey. I don't know, 5th rounder? Maybe? Maybe a prospect. Give me a prospect. Give me a C prospect. Or a B prospect. Somewhere in there. So, but I would probably take a 5th round pick for Hickey. No one's making a push for Line. Look, here's the thing with Line, guys. In this cap crunch, this salary, the cap ceiling, it's not going anywhere. It's probably going to be this way for 2 or 3 years, which means you're looking at 81.5. If Patrick Laine is looking for 9.5, for all you armchair GMs out there, he's going to the Devils. He may go to Detroit. I don't think Ottawa would pay him. He's gonna get traded to any team that's not going to be in the playoff hunt, but he'll put fans in the stands when it's actually allowed. If he's looking for 9.5 after this year, he doesn't fit the mold of wanting to win a Stanley Cup. He's not. The Devils would take him, sure. The Devils are not going to be winning the Cup anytime soon. Trade Nico Hischier for Patrick Laine. Boom, done. Guess what? When the crowd's allowed, everyone's going to flock in while the Devils try to get better. I can't see Laine getting 9.5 from anybody else except from those kinds of teams. Yeah, don't worry about Sorokin. Don't worry about Sorokin. I've been telling you guys that for years. Don't worry about Sorokin. So, listen, guys. We got 4 minutes left to go here. Let me tell you what we're going to do here. If Hickey's going to be demoted to Bridgeport due to injury, it'll be long-term injured reserve. That's it. Let me tell you what's going to be on set now for the rest of the week. The draft is next Tuesday. At some point, I think I'm going to go every other day. So if today's Tuesday, I'm looking at Thursday. This coming Thursday, I'm going to go over the juniors prospects that the Islanders have in the organization, and I'm going to go over the college kids, the junior prospects and the college kids. And we're going to go over their year real quick, and I'm going to give you a quick overview of which Islander I think they best represent. And what I want to give you, a bigger picture of what I think Lou may do. If everything goes well, Saturday, I'm going to do the professional prospects. That means all my Bridgeport Sound Tigers. The ones that we've been talking about before, I'm going to go in a little bit more detail. And I promise I'm going to go into more detail with Coach Thompson and why he's still here and why I think he should be here for at least one more year. Then, depending on my time, if I can pull it off, I would love to cover the draft here. All-day draft. All-day draft. I'll be doing it all day. Okay, I'm really interested to see what Detroit does. Keep an eye on Detroit all week long. Keep an eye on Detroit. Keep an eye on Montreal. And I'm going to say this now. Keep an eye on the Islanders. Keep an eye on the Islanders all this week. You want to keep an eye on Detroit, Montreal, the Islanders, maybe the Bruins as well. Keep an eye on those 4 teams. They may be doing some moves beforehand in preparation. Watch out for the Arizona Coyotes. Watch for them as well. Okay, you're going to start seeing moves pretty much after this show. At least you should. And you may see 1 or 2 moves coming from the Islanders, hopefully. So, that's it. Come back Thursday. We're going to talk about the junior prospects. We're going to talk about the college kids. On Saturday, we're going to go over the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. Tuesday, I want to cover the draft. And I'm going to give you guys probably like my wish list. I'm going to do another wish list. What I did last year was I mentioned 5 players that I kind of wish Lou would draft, but I'm going to give an overall theme. And what I want to do with this draft for you guys is that this draft right now reminds me of 2015. There's a lot of talent from 1 down to 16. And the second, third, fourth round quality is much better than the other years. So if Lou can get back into the second round, first round would be a godsend, but second round, third round, fourth round, these are all going to be some really good picks, and they're going to fit the system. But you guys also have to remember with the moves, and here's something we haven't thought about yet. watch for Lou. He may do this. Watch for Lou to do what I'm going to call by getting them an eBay player. What do I mean by an eBay player? Someone whose contract has been bought out, a la Kevin Shattenkirk, Zach Bogosian. Anybody who's been bought out by another team, Lou could come right in and sweep them up for a year or two for pennies on the dollar. Yes, Hosank's going to get a qualifying offer. Okay, so Lou can go that avenue. He could buy. He could go into the unrestricted free agency and pick up a player who was already bought out. Maybe Bobby Ryan. Who knows? Who knows? I have no idea. He may go that route. He may trade for a player and then give that player a long-term contract. Who knows? And again, I'm going to say this now. Don't worry about Matt Barzal. Don't worry about the offer sheet. And I'll tell you why. The Islanders just went to the Eastern Conference Finals. Lou Lamoriello has everything he has in place. He's got the team. He's got the arena coming. He's got all the fans. And what is he proposing? How many Stanley Cups would you like to win over the next 8 years? Okay? My younger Islander fans, pay attention to this. When he goes to Matt Barzal, he's going to go to him. How many Stanley Cups do you want to win this year? Okay, we can do such and such money, but you're going to get more over the long term. I don't think Matt Barzal is worried about 9 or 9.5 per year. I don't think so. I don't think so. 8.5 at most. But I think what Matt really wants is a long-term contract. He wants to be a part of this. He wants to be a part of this. He wants more of what he just had this year. He may pull a Nathan MacKinnon version. Nathan MacKinnon's making 6.5. But guess what? The Colorado Avalanche are in the playoffs every year. They're going to be Stanley Cup contenders every year. Matthew Barzal has the opportunity to do the same thing. Yes. Yes. So, Islander fans, get excited all this week. Come back and join me. I'm going to say for right now, Thursday, we're going to go over the junior prospects that the Islanders have already drafted. We're going to go over some of the college kids, and we're going to look at their futures. And I'm going to prep you guys up for the draft. If you guys want to show up for the draft on Tuesday, that'd be great. For those of you who are worried about the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, come back on Saturday. I will come up with the different times. I'm looking at 7 o'clock each night. So Thursday, 7 o'clock, come back for the juniors and the college kids. Saturday at 7, we're going to do the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. And then Tuesday, we're rolling at the draft. And we'll see what happens with free agency. And we'll do one more show to close everything up for the 2020 season. So, yeah, Tavares did sign the bridge deal, but that's because they were in Nassau Coliseum for life. They had nowhere to go. They had no idea where they were going. He's going to Belmont. He's going to Belmont. He's going to be winning every year. If I'm Matthew Barzal, forget the bridge deal. Give me an 8-year deal, but give me more money in years 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? Let's have fun real quick. $8 million contract. Okay. Cap hit. Year 5 could be $9 million. Year 7 could be 9.5. Year 8 could be 10. You could be able to get away with that because the salary cap by year 8 is going to go up. It won't matter. You guys know where I'm going with this right now? You can do that over the long term. Matthew Barzal will make more money over the long term. That is a genuine Lou contract right there, folks. Do I see a blockbuster trade? You mean from the Islanders or just in general? I don't know. What do you consider a blockbuster? I don't know. I don't know. So that's it, guys. Lots of stuff to chew on. Get ready. This is going to be a very busy week for you guys. You're going to be talking about everything. And again, if anything breaks, we'll come back on Thursday. We'll talk about all that stuff as well. I'll take more questions. We'll do Q&As. The prospects altogether, they're going to be kind of short. Short and sweet. I'll take more questions and we'll go from there. But I'm here for you guys for at least the next week. And let's make this happen. Again, to my younger fans and my older fans at this point, congratulations on the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's do this again sometime. And let's go Islanders. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Have fun. Those of you joining in, I'm very glad that you guys are here. We are going to be going over